With the Carolina Panthers having precisely 2 weeks left until the start of the regular season and having one last chance at redemption of the offense before week one's opener, would Dave Cannella send his starting offense out against the Buffalo Bills in the preseason finale? Well, I guess it's safe to say that that question was answered late in the week when he announced that Bryce Young and several starters on the offense would be starting in this game. How did they fare? Find out next on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, fans. Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Of course, you guys know I am Mr. CeeLo, and I must say I am excited. Want to give a growl out to all of you that paid attention to the last show. And I also want you guys to go over and check out what I had to say, because I gave a lot of shout outs to my favorite Facebook groups as well as my fan growl of the week. But none of you guys have really paid attention to the show that I've done recently. It's Panthers lose to the Jets, offense continues to struggle. But as we go through, we're here to talk about today's game, which I'm going to tell you guys, it's got me excited. Very excited. The Panthers in the preseason on a high note as they defeat the Buffalo Bills 31-26. Finally getting a win in the preseason. But it wasn't just about the win, guys. It was the overall play of the offense. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of everything that happened, I want to give you guys a little bit of info. We are 5 subs away from giving away that Growlin' and Prowlin' t-shirt. Growl out to you. So, guys, this is what I need you to do. Go to the Growlin' and Prowlin' Facebook page. Make yourself known. Let us know if you are a fan of the show and you have subbed. I will try to put the link down in the description of this show so that you guys can be a part of this. Because at the end of the day, you guys deserve a shot at getting a Growlin' and Prowlin' t-shirt. I'm still in the midst of working on it, but that does not mean you will not get one. But go over there, inbox the show, tell us your name, and that's all we need. Whatever your handle is on YouTube, that's all we need. That way we can put you in on the drawing, and you can get into the drawing for your very own Growlin' and Prowlin' t-shirt, no cost at all. But back to business. We saw that there were several Panthers that were probably not going to dress for this affair. And honestly, you guys, I looked at it and I said to myself, well, that's okay. And I know what people are going to say, well, why would you want only certain starters to start? Well, we heard that Austin Corbett was not able to attend because he was having a child. So big growl out to him and congratulations to him and his family. We are also looking that we had several starters that did not play in this game. Among them was Austin Corbett. And starting guard Damian Lewis. We also saw Jonathan Brooks, Ian Thomas, possibly starter Tommy Tremble at tight end not playing, as well as Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Wanham, Amari Barno, J.C. Horn, Dane Jackson, who's out with that injury, Sam Franklin, and Xavier Woods all did not make an appearance in the finale. Now, what does that mean today? The question was posed to him when Bryce Young was slated to start, what it was they were listening, what they expected out of Bryce Young. And he said, and I quote, well, let's just follow the lead of the man whose opinion matters the most. Well, as we inch closer to getting a sneak peek, let's look back at what Canellis told reporters what he wanted to see out of Young's exhibition. Operation, right? I want to see things run smoothly. I'd want to see just the communication, the in between drives conversations, all that stuff that is so valuable. Well, and I'm gonna be honest with you, this is nothing short of the truth. And it also led to a lot of uncharacteristic situations where Bryce was holding on to the ball. And he was unable to be decisive with the ball in a lot of situations. So he was the uncharacteristic version of himself last season. And I honestly believe that that's what Dave Canellis means when he says operation. And I even heard Steve Smith say a couple of times during the broadcast that he was talking about holding on to the ball too much and going through his progressions and being comfortable going through his progressions. That's important when you have a quarterback of his caliber. He has to be able to stand tall in the pocket. Stand tall. He has to be able to stand in the pocket and be comfortable with what he's got going on around him. Now, in all fairness, the offensive line looked really good considering both. You had your center, your starting center, and your starting guard not in the lineup. I was thoroughly impressed. 6 of 8, 70 yards, and a touchdown. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the improvisation on 2 plays was really fun to watch. We got to see Deontay Johnson on display, Adam Thielen on display, Jonathan Mingo, as well as Xavier Legette. And we even got to see a little bit of Jatavian Sanders, Miles Sanders, and of course Chuba Hubbard. Something I can honestly say that I'm excited about. Now, granted, this was Buffalo's second defense and their second offense. But it's like Steve Smith said, if we are struggling to get anything, like it seemed like last year with Frank Wright, it's not going to work. And I even remember hearing Steve Smith allude to the fact that Frank Wright didn't run really any kind of run read, which is true. That's what Bryce Young ran all through college at Alabama. So it's kind of interesting, and I know Steve didn't want to go back, but he made a really good point. Some of the points that I was making about the C.J. Stroud, Steve Smith type of, C.J. Stroud to Bryce Young argument. You don't get a coach that is contrary to what you're drafting. So, I said that many a times that was, if you're not going to take C.J. Stroud, you don't need Frank Wright. So I thought that was a complete cluster in itself. So excellent take by you, Steve. But yet again, you're seeing a lot of that this year, and that's where Dave Canellis, and it's not only that. What I was more impressed with was to see how the running game was moving. We didn't run it very much, but we're going to get to the statistical aspect of the game as of right now. But I think Dave Canellis was probably pleased with what he saw, considering you do have Jatavian Sanders as opposed to Tommy Tremble. Even though I still think Tommy Tremble is a much efficient blocker and all-around tight end as opposed to Jatavian Sanders. I do believe there's been a lot of people that have speculated that one Terrace Marshall will not be with this team after Tuesday, and for that, I don't want to see that happen. Terrace Marshall not only is a second-round pick, but when he has had time, and I mean playing time, and he has been a part of this offense, he has been explosive. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, what you have with special teams and the many things that guys like David Moore bring to the table and Emir Smith-Marset bring to the table. It's going to be a question of what do they find as more important. Me personally, I think this is where Jeremy Chin would have been huge. You could have had Jeremy Chin being that strong safety, free safety kind of guy. Or you could have had him playing that slot special kind of guy. He's that extra guy. This is why he's so important and why he should have been re-signed. And you can hold on to a Terrace Marshall. You can hold on to a Mike Strahan. You can hang on to a Amir Marset Smith on the roster and not have to worry about whether or not when you waive these guys or you cut these guys, that they're not going to be able to be retained on your practice squad. Other teams are going to snatch guys up like Terrace Marshall and Emir Smith-Marset. Those guys are not going to go sitting on the waiver wire. But let's get into it. Panthers 31, Bills 26. This was probably the best preseason game I've seen out of the Carolina Panthers almost since the Ron Rivera era. It's been a long time since I've seen an entertaining game in the preseason like this. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, man, it's just the preseason. You'll get over yourself. It's not just the fact that it was a preseason game. It's the fact that it's almost like Dave Canellis watched my show before I released it. And I'm going to be honest with you, when he announced the starters were going to start, I had already shot the show and it was having trouble uploading. And then it comes out that the starters are going to start. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was just like rats. But looking here, I was very happy to see the starters out there for the most part on offense because it was so much fun to see. You have guys like, Chuba Hubbard getting 3 carries and getting 5 yards a pop for each one. Then you see Miles Sanders, he had 3 carries and had 6, but Bryce being 6 out of 8 for 70 yards on a touchdown. He was sacked once. It was a rough little hit there, but a lot of it was the play didn't work. It broke down. He actually had Jatavian Sanders. He could have taken a shot at, but he retreated and held the ball. But then the other, I'll stay just on the first series before I go into everybody else's numbers. But you saw Jordan Matthews, who caught the touchdown from Bryce Young, had 3 grabs, 21 yards, and that touchdown. Thielen had a 21-yarder. Deontay Johnson had a 17-yarder on a really good rollout play by Bryce. The play broke down a little bit. The protection broke down a little bit. The play that he could have made the throw to, which in my opinion he could have made. Steve Smith Sr. and I kind of disagree because there was a little breakaway at that moment. But he took and it made it a better play. He was patient. He scrambled and rolled out, found Deontay Johnson on 17 yards, and he found Jatavian Sanders on a good 13-yard pass play. And it just kind of looked like it came together today, and it was exciting to watch. But again, Bryce Young 6 of 8, 70 yards and a score. And I want to be honest with you, watching this game and the way it worked was a lot of fun. Because we go back to it and we see things that we didn't see last year. It looked like Bryce Young was a rookie that should have stayed one more year in college. That's what he looked like. He looked like he was overwhelmed and he was incapable of even breaking down what was going on in front of him. That's the way it looked. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's exactly how it looked. And looking back at today's game, he looked composed. He looked like he had complete command of the offense, and he was poised. That was the one thing about Bryce that coming out of Alabama that he had was poise. He looked poised. He looked sure of himself. He never once wavered in what he was doing. He was comfortable, and he knew what to do. He made the right decisions. And I will say this, if this is what we have to look forward to, yes, Dave Canellis, I owe you an apology. But I don't apologize for the fact that these guys needed to be out here.
Who cares?
You some bitch.
And I'm glad. I am happy. I am elated. And as Steve Smith said, we have everything to be excited about. But let's look at the totality of the game. You got Jack Plummer, whom a guy that so many of us, including myself, said this guy was going to be he's going to be cut. He's done after this. And believe it or not, he's going to be a good practice squad guy that can honestly give a run at the second spot when Andy Dalton steps away, or if Andy Dalton decides he doesn't want to stay on the roster on a cap-friendly salary. This guy could very well lead this team too. He's made some major strides. I remember what Steve Smith was saying. He's absolutely right. Plummer's made some serious strides throwing for 278 and 2 scores. You know, he did a phenomenal job getting to, he threw a beautiful 36-yard score to Jalen Coker. That thing was just Terrace Marshall yet again 3 for 39 and a touchdown. Yeah, you can't do it any better. David Moore had 2 grabs for 28. Jordan Matthews, as we said, 321 and a 1. Jacob Hollister, 2 catches, 14 yards. Amir Smith-Marset had 2 for 11. Mike Boone, 1 for 10. Felipe Franks, 1 for 7. Mike Strahan, 1 for 7. Jonathan Mingo had a grab, 1 of 3. And Xavier Legette had a target, but not a grab. And then defensively, you know, we can look at many things. Frank Gore Jr., a guy who is probably going to land on a roster somewhere, had 100 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So that's another problem that the Panthers are going, Coach Avero is going to have to look at. Because some of these guys that played today, we did see a couple of first unit guys today. We saw, I think Trevin Wallace, a lot of people are saying that he's probably not going to start this year, but I'm telling you, he's going to be a huge rotational piece. We know he's probably going to play on special teams, but I'm going to tell you, this guy is going to be a huge backup piece. Josie Jewell had 3 tackles on the day. We got to see our first glimpse of Mr. Brown. All-Pro Derek Brown. And we got to see some of Shaq Thompson. It was great seeing him again back in that old familiar 54. DJ Johnson had another tackle today. And also he conjured up a sack today. So that's good news for him. And you also saw Cam Gill, who's been relatively quiet, but he pulled out one. And then you had Villain had a half sack split with Junior Ahoy. And as I said, this Panthers team played with more spirit tonight. Maybe it was because Bryce played and some of the starters played, but I'm going to be honest with you that we still have concerns at that other edge spot. I mean, even at both edges, so to speak, because Jadeveon Clowney has not been a lock to be a huge pass rusher. And then you still have questions on the opposite side of J.C. Horn. Shao Smith-Wade has been getting some shots over there as the guy that would be first up to take that spot. But you look and you think, could this position be a liability for the Panthers? Well, we already know Troy Hill's got the slot wrapped up. And that's one of the more underappreciated positions to have locked up. Because now in this day and age, in the 3 wide and 4 wide set, you have to have a reliable, almost a top-notch slot guy on the roster. That can't be a position of weakness. But as I said, you guys, wonderful showing before the opening game against the New Orleans Saints. I was very happy and very thrilled, and I think you guys should be very excited as well. And that's what I was referring to when I said that we needed to have something to shake this up. And Canellis, you did it. You have put the league on notice with this. Everybody can say, oh, it's a preseason game. No. When you have an offense that can't run through water, that can't run through bath water, and then they come out and they put up 31, that puts the league on notice. And now what everybody's going to say is, well, Dave Canellis, he showed his hand. No, he didn't. Dave Canellis only gave a sample size. You're not gonna tell me a guy who took the Seahawks and the Buccaneers to the playoffs is a guy that doesn't understand how this works. He knows how much to show to get his guys some confidence. I do know that much. My question was he going to take that shot and give these guys that confidence? That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to know. is to see if Canellis was going to give these guys a chance to get out there and show us and show themselves what they're capable of when the lights go on. Great job, Dave Canellis. Growl out to you. Now let me know what you guys think as we get ready to go into the final hours of training camp and preseason. Let me know what you guys hope happens, what guys you hope remain with the team, and which players you hope retain despite whether or not they're cut or not. I'm very happy with what we've seen. I'm very happy about what could possibly happen, and that's what I want, guys. That's all I want is some hope. And we saw some of it, and I hope all of you are excited because I'm so excited right now. I'm ready for game one because we haven't even put all our pieces on the field yet. And judging by what I've seen, it looks like we may have some offense. And we can do that. I got a feeling Coach Avero can do just enough on defense and keep us a win. We don't need to have Coach Avero having us survive by the skin of our teeth or keeping us in it till the end and to lose it. But until the next time, keep prowling the airwaves and keep growling out. Keep pounding.